Hello, Earth citizens. Welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to share with you a little bit about my story. We all have a story, we all have a journey that takes us to this moment in our lives. And by sharing my story, I hope to inspire you a little bit or just give you anything that might help you on your journey. So, the person that I am today is so different than the person I was about 10, 20 years ago. Growing up, I was very shy, I was very laid back, very quiet. I never really wanted to make myself heard. I didn't want to speak up. As soon as I would do that, people would look at me and it would make me feel very uncomfortable. And as I grew up with time, it became more and more challenging to be in situations where there were lots of people. Even up to a point with small gatherings, I would just feel anxious and uncomfortable. I've always been very sensitive, feeling my own emotions, and now I understand something that I didn't understand back then. That is, that I can really tune into other people's emotions. So during that time in my life, especially in my late teens and early 20s, I had no idea this is what was happening. And it was a very, very confusing time. If I look back at this time in my life, there is a lot of up and downs, emotional up and downs, mentally as well. Some days it felt like things were great and were going perfect and it was smooth. But always deep down there was this uncomfortable feeling. Something was missing. I was just doing my work. I had a reasonable income. I had a great house, but that was it. There was no meaning to what I really was doing. I was just paying my rent and I was going in this motion, in this cycle, and I wasn't happy. I didn't really know back then that I wasn't happy and that I had some form of depression. So I started to look for something. I didn't know what I was looking for, so I also experienced lots of back pain, and I did Pilates and yoga, meditation. I was looking through all these things, but nothing really seemed to work. Until one day I found this place where I participated in a class where they were teaching body and brain education, and it was such a different thing. And when after taking that class and I went back on the street, I was walking home, I just felt a happiness rising from within me. And up to that point in my life, I was always looking for things, that would stimulate me and make me feel happier and more joyful. And after this class, there was just this something was there, everything looked brighter, and I just felt so much more at peace and more content. So I just started I started to take that practice, and I really did this to feel better myself. And taking a few steps back, a few years back, I was feeling also that I was looking at the world and things weren't right from my point of view. Things were this mass consumption, and looking at the news, there's so much corruption and so much fear, and I was seeing a picture, and I was why are people not seeing this? Why are people not realizing this and this and that? And I felt so hopeless. And I felt hopeless because I I didn't know how can I make people see see the truth, and realize what is going on. And because I had that point of view and that mindset of wanting to change someone else's perspective and how they were seeing the world, I have no power over that. I have no control over that, and that made me feel really, really hopeless. And that really pulled me deeper and deeper into a depression, up to a point where I just was wondering, why am I living? Why do we live? Um, really questioning the purpose of my life. What am I here for? And as I went on this journey of just like taking class to feel more good myself, something started to change. There's this one point where I did a workshop and then something hit me. Like I had this massive awakening. Just, it's really hard to put into words because it was like a feeling in my body, you know, something woke up. And that really made me change my perspective. From that point, I started to look at the world from a brighter perspective, in the sense that I realized that I cannot change you, right? I cannot change something else like other people, but I can change myself. So if I make myself happier and more at peace, then I can change my view of the world. And at the same time, and I was seeing that, you know, as I was working at the time, I was working in an office space, and it felt very heavy a lot of the times to go into work. But as I started to really work on myself, every time, like I was, especially after workshops, I was coming back to the office and people were just reacting in such a different way towards me, you know? They were becoming like brighter. Their reaction to me was becoming so much brighter. And again, this made me see like, wow, I changed myself, and then the world around me is changing, because the world around me is a reflection of who I am. So that gave me a purpose in my life of like, okay, great, I can change the world through changing me, through making myself, you know, feel better. And it doesn't mean that nowadays that things are just super joyful and great all the time. Like stress is still part of our lives, of our physical body. So there's still challenge, right? There's still challenge in life. But I believe like taking the responsibility of facing your challenges, of solving the problems that you encounter in your life, that is where we are growing, and that's where also our joy grows, and when we are able to achieve that. And something I want to add is that before realizing this, when I wasn't feeling great, I had no real reason to get up, stand up and make myself feel better. I was just like sit in my not great emotion and feeling not good, you know? And it was just like I was pulling myself more like down, and then also the people around me, because that's not great energy to be around, you know? And now when I do also feel stressed and challenged and sometimes sad, then it is important that I say that I allow myself to feel this, because sometimes before it was also like, I need to change this and I want to feel better, but at the same time I don't do anything about it, and it's like this whole mess. And now through my journey, I've really learned that if I allow myself to feel like that, I can then choose to take action and change it, right? It's like as I embrace this feeling, I can change it more easily. And there's a big reason and there's a big purpose around it that's beyond my small self to do take this action and change. And everything comes back to this concept of coexistence and of living in harmony on this world. So, of course, like there are so many fights to be fought, you know, nowadays. And some people will do that, and everyone has like their piece of the puzzle. But I do believe that no matter what fight you're fighting or what you're focusing on in your life, it is so important to start with yourself, because as you do that, you are becoming more in harmony with yourself, right? Your soul, your body, your environment, and that is affecting all those people around you in your family and in your community. So this is the coexistence, this is the harmony that you create. And just imagine this bubble around you, and imagine that the more your bubble grows, the other people's bubbles will grow as well, like these energy bubbles of feeling this balance and love and harmony. So eventually it spreads, you know? Happiness is contagious. Happiness is really contagious. So if we are doing that more and more and keep expanding all of that, in my vision, in my point of view, there's like no way back to real suffering, you know? Like there's hope in working on yourselves. So I hope this the sharing of my journey and the way I perceive the world and the power of myself, of my brain, or the power of my body. I hope that inspires you, and I do want to add, it's not something that is like, oh yes, and then I'll do it like that. We do need help a lot of times, and I have a massive community around me that supports me on my path, and I am not alone in this, and neither are you. So if you do feel the calling and you're like, yes, I feel that and I want to connect to that, then start by sending me a message, and wherever you are in the world, there is also a community that has the same vision. And the amazing thing is, like, everything connects online nowadays, and of course meeting in person is a very strong experience, but when we don't always have that opportunity, starting to connect online is the next best step. And it has saved me as well. It has been such a game changer over the last few years, being able to connect to people that are not next to me. And yeah, anyway, I'll leave it here. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to the channel, leave us a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one.